Tuesday, March
Oh, okay.
14th, City Hall.
Gotcha,
City,
sorry.
regular meeting, city, City Council. Welcome back, Amelia. Remember our names?
I have to work out that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rogers,
Present.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yeah.
Councilmember Gonzalez. I'm sorry, Councilmember, Jean Costa absent.
Thanks. Okay, next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. And, after that, there'll be a moment of silence, appreciation and condolences. So please stand with me for the pledge. Ready? Again?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You don't have to stand for this one, but I just wanted to, yes, okay, we'll start. Next slide. This is item number 3, moment of thanks, appreciation, or condolences.
So I have two appreciations. I just wanted to thank city staff and our first responders. I think us, just like the surrounding cities, are feeling the pinch from extreme weather. So just a reminder that staff is going above and beyond, checking emails, coordinating with other agencies, and the community greatly appreciates that. So thank you, everyone. My second is just a quick thank you to Coast Hills and Chumash of San Ynez, who recently made some donations to our Guadalupe Youth Football League. They were monetary donations to help pay for registration fees and equipment. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank those groups for donating to our community.
Good, thank you. Gilbert, anything? Katrina?
This month is International Women's Month, and I just want to acknowledge and show appreciation to the women that are here, the women that are come before us, and those yet to come. Let's continue to lift them up.
With that, in the display tape unit there in the hallway, there's a whole bunch of photos and history about the women of Guadalupe that goes back to my oldest sister Roseanne. She's I don't know how old she is now. She's old, but she's there. And I wanted to change that because she said that I was a brat. And as an older brother and an only brother of 7 sisters, you know. Anyway, I want to echo that in terms of the women and the Women's History Month, because there's a lot of women in our history, and if it wasn't for women in our history, we wouldn't be here. Also, condolences to the Solis family, Ron Solis, who was a longtime resident here.
That doesn't, here, I got it.
What's that?
Blocking everything.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's
The talking head.
I thought it was Gene. But Ron Solis passed on March the 9th, and I didn't realize he was a Boys and Girls Club maintenance guy at the main center in Santa Maria for 17 years. So condolences to June and the family. And several weeks ago, and I think we mentioned it, Pastor Leon, his wife passed, Esther Leon, on the 12th of February. And condolences to Pajaro, which is similar to Guadalupe, which is, I don't know, you weren't born there, were you in Watsonville?
No, we lived there, but I was born here.
Okay, but that community of 15,000 or so also suffered consequences as a result of one of the levees being broken. So there's a lot of displaced there. So with that, anything else? We good? Agenda review. At this time, the city council will review the order of business. If is there a council member that wants to change the order of business that we have before us? Now's the time to do that.
No changes for me.
No change. So we're good. Okay, let's see. The next item is a ceremonial calendar swearing in of Josue Ramirez, police officer. Chief Cash.
Okay, this is the oath of office, and then I will say a few words and just repeat after me and after you, okay? All right,
I,
Josue Ramirez,
José Ramirez,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well
that I will well
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which
upon which
I am about to enter.
I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do they want to take a picture with you, chief, there? With the family, or, I know they want to.
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Who's
take
gonna
it? Somebody, Amelia. So you see Amelia? Okay.
There you.
Better get in there.
You got it, Chief?
Yes.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. All right, let's get it nice and clear. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I didn't plan on, I didn't write anything down.
After you're here, that's called it done.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to, I've already met you, council member.
Yes.
So I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you guys for having me here. It's a whole different environment, different change. I come from Kern County up in Tehachapi. So instead of the rain, I have tons of snow up there. It's a different change, but I'm glad to be here. I'm eager to meet more people from the community, and I'm proactive. So if chief lets me, I'll be out there doing a lot of traffic stops. Maybe not a lot. But like I said, I'm very approachable, and if you have any questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to stop and ask. That's what I'm here for, here to serve. So thank you guys for having me again.
Well, welcome. Up.
Thank you.
All right, next item is community participation forum. If there's anybody in the audience that wish to speak on an item that's not on the agenda, then you fill out the form, which some people have. And the first item, it says in, Allison, you're in opposition to. I don't know what you're in opposition to. Which item?
Operation.
From which?
Oh, she's talking about chief's report. The chief's report.
It's in my
It's
report.
in her public safety report. And she's in a
Didn't
position.
say, put her in, I don't know, okay.
It's just he's added it into his report.
So that's, okay, item 9, okay. And I guess, I know that, Johnson has the same item that you should talk about, and also another one, Melanie, the same thing. Okay, so anybody else have anything to say that's, or to discuss that's not on the agenda? If not, we're gonna go to item 7, which is a consent calendar. The following items are presented to council as approval without discussion. Is there a council member that wishes to pull an item out for further discussion?
Actually, well, mine's tangent to number 9, but it's something else too, and
What is it? What is it?
well,
When you come up here?
okay. I'm Melanie Backer, and I mean, it can be about item number 9, but it's also about the idea of putting ordinances, a list of ordinances in our utility bills, because nobody knows the ordinances in this town, and
Well, some people do.
well,
Okay,
residents, new residents, no, or I've been here too.
okay, that's
We
you
talk
wanted,
about-
which item you wanted to talk about?
All right, I'll just say everything during number 9, because I
Okay.
got other things to say, but it's been all.
All right, thank you. All right, any councilman wish to pull an item on the consent calendar?
I do not.
If not, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
I motion to approve the consent calendar as it's presented.
Second,
I second.
okay, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. All ayes. So we'll go to item 8, city administrators. Report information only.
In light of the storm, I'll be brief, but I just want to let you know that Friday, the mayor, myself, Shannon, and I think Steve Leverett will be meeting with Public Works Director Scott McNulton. And I think a few others regarding possible looking at ways to find funds for mitigation measures due to the rains. Also, I wanted to ask the council if all of you could be here prior to the next council meeting for photo ops, pictures for the new website, and a group picture as well, looking to wear your Sunday best.
Okay, since you're on the speaking, do we still have a meeting with the Chevron people? Speaker?
We did, but it got canceled due to the rains and whatnot. So it was once scheduled for sometime this week, and we're pushing it for next week. Yeah, the city will receive a grant for that as well. Other than that, the website should be up sometime in May or June. But if you have biographies of yourself, that'd be great to get sent to us. We can include those in the website as well.
Okay, so when you want us early, that's next,
How about Friday of next week? Would that work?
you're talking separate, that,
I mean, for the biography, a narrative of
Oh, for the
your
biography.
background, but the 28th is when I would have a photographer come in
Okay,
at
cool.
say 4:30
all right, good, thank you.
before the council meeting. Other than that, I think, I know Shannon was gonna talk about some water updates in general, but we're gonna push that off until the next meeting.
Water, not flood.
Water supply, yeah,
Okay, water supply.
that's it.
Okay, any questions, Todd? Item 9, Director of Public Safety, Chief Cash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Only 3 topics I want to talk about as far as tonight. Try to be as concise as possible. First, let's give a flooding update. It was, today is Tuesday, it was Monday or Sunday. We got reports from the county about an incoming storm. And what the possible effects are going to be, and also that the dam was releasing water. We learned very well from the last situation. I was able to contact everyone here that's at the table. We talked about different things that we could do. We also had flood control came out, and we walked to the river to see where the possible breaks would occur. With that, we all decided to make it is no longer called voluntary evacuation. It's there's either mandatory or a warning, evacuation warning, or mandatory evacuation. So we did the warning evacuation to Pioneer Street. We made flyers, we went door to door, advised everybody. It was a great group. We brought down bags for sand. If you've been down there lately, they've covered everything around their housing. And then we asked too about taking cars off the street, because at the last time, cars were swept down the street. Everyone worked very well, hand in hand. We only had about a day and a half. We also were in contact with Red Cross, because we're out here by ourselves to a large extent. Red Cross had completely refurbished the trailer. All the supplies are back in there so that we're prepared if we had to do another emergency shelter. The senior center staff contacted us. We're ahead of this as far as being able to use the van if we needed to. And also if we need to have food, they're going to be on hand if they're going to have food. So we were putting a lot of things in place just in case. And it really flowed very well. With that, then, and we had, Shannon went through and made sure that all our drains and gutters were clear. So you see, we did not have flood in our normal places that we did. So right now, South Santa Barbara County is going to lift their mandatory evacuation tonight. We're not gonna look to lift ours until tomorrow because they did another release at the dam. And we're not expected to see what that release is, at least until maybe tomorrow. So we're gonna stay pat until we know for sure before we release that. But everyone's really been working with us. And just so you get a kind of an update, Pat, we took the drone out and we did some photos of the areas that we had the spill from last time. So you can see here, we did photos from, we did like 3 separate times. I believe it was 9, 2, and 4 o'clock. So at 9 o'clock, you can see here's Highway 1, Leroy Park, and there's the river. I don't, is there a pointer on this thing?
Yeah,
No?
yeah. It's the red button.
Right here, okay. This right here is the area that was compromised, and that's where the water came through here, came all the way across and down into Pioneer Street and through Leroy Park. So the gentleman from the county flood control, or flood, I believe it's correct, he walked us down here. We first parked on the bridge so we could view it, and then we walked from Leroy Park to this area to see how close it was. And he was expecting, he says it was only like about an inch or 2 before that water would possibly start going over. So that was at 9 o'clock. Here's another shot with Leroy Park, and you can see Pioneer Street here. And here's one of the farms, and you can see where the river still continues back this way, where it's also a breach and the water comes and it goes down to 8th and Pioneer, or correction, 7th and Pioneer there at that corner, or correction 8th. That is the breach area right here. This is the direction the water flowed through last time, and then when it hit Leroy Park, flooded. You can see this is what it looked like. It flooded this entire area, and then it went down to Pioneer, which is a lower level. And that's exactly that spot. That's the route. And that was at 9 this morning. Okay, and there's Pioneer Street, and you can see where this other, it's completely gone right there as far as from the back of this farm. Here's Pioneer Street. So even the water's rushing past here, but you can see where their berm is gone. This is 2 o'clock. It starts to kind of go over. You can see where the water's now slowly starting to head that direction. And you see the river level was channel that was created on 1-9. That was the path that it took.
Chief, can you point out the lower parking area since you're there on Leroy Park?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry to miss you up, but right there, that's, some individuals are concerned that the actual Leroy Park itself, the gymnasium was impacted, but it was just the lower
No.
parking, and it's
Yes, sir.
And, that's where a lot of the water flow was. Okay.
Yeah, it went straight through
Yeah.
here from the back and into the parking lot. And into, we had some in the playground area,
Right.
which was, right in here, if I'm correct,
Right.
but it never made it to the gym. This is at 4 o'clock and, it started to go back somewhat. We were really lucky. It seemed like the water level was somewhat dropping at 4 o'clock. Coming through here, so is what's coming down from the dam, how that's going to affect us from tonight. And we're still expecting more rain later tonight. I think heavy rains to tonight, all the way till late Wednesday or Thursday.
Heavy rains are gonna be between about 6 and 10 PM, and then it's moderate to light the rest of it, and tomorrow.
Okay, moderate to light and into tomorrow. Pat added these, so, you know, if you want to speak on those, or I'm sure Shannon does, but that's the river as far as what some of the water levels are doing.
This graph shows the projected water flows and levels of the river over the next 48 to 72 hours. So you can see that blue line is our current marker on the height and flow of the river. And the purple is the expected spike that we're going to see as the water starts to funnel down the Sisquoc Valley, Santa Maria Valley, and towards the beach. So the flows and levels were adjusted. This morning we're at 13.6, and now they readjusted based on the current projections and rains that they received. Now they're saying it's going to be a little lower than what we had this morning, which is 12 feet 1.
Frederick, and Shannon, Twitchell is 25 miles from here.
I don't.
Actually, no.
It's about, it's about
It's at
25
least
miles.
8 miles from here to Santa Maria and a good. I would say Jamaica.
And do we know what the release of water is? I know that they were gonna, at one point, they were gonna release 20,000 cubic foot a second, then it went down to 6,000 foot. Do we know what the flow, what they're releasing now?
Yes, so the Twitchell Dam started releasing approximately 3,000 cubic feet per second last night. And that went through about midday today, when they throttled down to, right now, they're at 700 cubic feet per second. And they're gonna keep at that level until they see that peak in the Sisquoc Valley. And then they'll readjust and continue to do more to balance the load on the dam.
Hannah, can you go back to the first slide? They were on the bridge, the one on the bridge. And the actual levee is just to the left of the Highway 1. That's Highway 1 right there. And just to the left of that,
On the other side.
the left of that.
Yeah,
Well, keep going left.
The other
Right in there, all the way off the
Off the
screen.
screen.
That's where the levee ends.
Ah,
And people say, well, the levee broke on the other side, but there was never a levee there. And all it is a berm. It just.
yeah.
It was just
Didn't have trees.
berm and some trees, or
Berm. So,
a block, if you will.
so when FEMA was there with Carbon and other folks, a lot of folks are here that they were talking about extending that levee. And the levee, they were talking about $25 million a mile. And if you look at what happened to Pajaro, they, for 3 decades, they didn't fix the levee that they knew was gonna be a problem. And one of the reasons they did not is that it wasn't impacting Watsonville, which is a bigger city, 51,000. Pajaro is similar to Guadalupe, and then it's a farm worker community. So there's an issue, what are they protecting? But if you look at all that farmland, there's 250, 300 acres that are now, you can't farm it. So there's, I know that we're gonna talk about that when it comes to further discussion with the county and the Fed. So that levee doesn't start, it ends right at just east of the bridge there, so.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we also have our wastewater treatment plant that falls along this line, which was impacted in the first storm.
Can you show that? Yeah.
Do we get any?
Yes,
It
yeah,
does.
you can actually look at it. If you go further. To another slide, keep moving forward, keep,
So we have a vested interest in coming up with a long-term plan.
We had a picture, but we backed off that.
Okay.
picture,
Oh.
But, yeah.
but Shannon, can you talk a little bit about,
So just briefly, the treatment plant itself is
there it is,
on,
right? There's the pointer.
the treatment plant itself is on higher ground. But once the water is treated from the wastewater treatment plant, there are holding ponds. And those holding ponds are there to hold the water until we can spray it on the irrigation fields across the river. When the storm happened on January 9th, the river breached the berm in between the river and the holding ponds and basically filled the holding ponds to capacity. They were about half full, so now they are completely full. The only way to get the water out of those holding ponds is through the effluent pump station, which happened to be under construction on January 9th. The project finished on February 17th. We got the pumps running, but we get the pumps running. We're not allowed to pump during the rain, by the way. And so we would get the ponds down an inch or two, and the next rainstorm would come and fill them to capacity again. So we have been intermittently discharging to the river. Effluent, basically treated effluent. The water is treated, but it's undisinfected. We've been doing samples upstream and downstream to show that the water that we're delivering to them is actually higher quality than the river itself. That being said, our permit does not allow us to do that. This latest release of Twitchell water, the river is going bank to bank, and now our effluent spray field is underwater. It's under the river. So now we cannot physically pump out of the holding ponds. So the regional board is aware of this, and we're just going to have to try to piece everything together once the river recedes and then get to pumping again. But it's going to take quite some time to get us back to compliance. But as a result, we're going to look at putting in a more hardened berm once all of this is done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, go ahead.
I spoke to CEP, so I know we don't have a climate action plan, and so we are very interested in looking at the policy, maybe funding and real big connected.
That would be good. We actually applied for a grant for a climate action plan, and it was denied. So I am happy to talk with anybody who might help us fund that. So, thank you.
The ED dimension is very interesting.
Wonderful, thank you.
And one quick question. Is there any chance that we can show the video of the first about 30 seconds of the drone footage from Chachi today?
Does some,
That would be the access to.
does anyone have it? You have it?
Email.
I know how to.
Okay.
There's a gentleman, Chachi Ramirez, that actually took a drone, but starting out at the dunes area, the dunes gate. I'm not sure whether the dunes gate that shows the actual water flowing right through that gate, and just on the south side of the gate, it's completely flooded. There's a river going through there, so that's why the river is actually, or the dunes is actually closed. But there's some concern that why don't we open up the dunes, and you can see why after that, after the video is shown. There's rationale for
30
that.
seconds of.
I don't have that.
And while they're doing that, Chief, is there any more that you?
Yes, and I'll segue into the towing aspect. So, first we'll talk about, there was issues brought up, from citizens concerning, our code compliance and really what we do, or it was stated maybe what we don't do. So I have from the last year's total, last year, the, Department of Public Safety, they did 321 cases of code compliance. And out of that, only 85 were complaint driven. But just so you have an understanding, some were litter, weeds, property nuisance, working without permits, address numbers that were missing, parking in the front yard, people living in trailers, and we had 66 72-hour violation notices that were issued out there. And that kind of segues into the tow. Our councilman brought up about doing something with the vehicles that are on the streets, and especially like the trailers that were in the like throughout the city. I have been working with our city attorney. There's two specific sections. There's a California Vehicle Code section, and I submitted that so that you can view it. And it's for automobiles, vehicles, 72-hour as far as vehicles. And what that states is that if the vehicle is there for 72 hours, then it can be towed. But what people get around, if you can move it and show movement of the vehicle, then you're not in violation. But then we also have a municipal code for parking of large vehicles or utility trailers. And I think that's what our councilman was talking about. With that, it's 72 hours, but it states that the trailer has to be in use. And that's what a lot of people were missing out on. They go, well, I got 72 hours. It can't sit there. It has to be in use. And after 72 hours, it has to be gone. And the only way that you could do something different, when I read through this, is there's a section where you can get a permit through the police department for 48 hours to be able to keep your trailer on the street, but it's got to be in some type of use mode. We went to a community meeting, TAG, Todd and I in Pasadena, and we had citizens who were really upset about some of the vehicles that were parked, and they wanted the vehicles removed and they wanted trailers removed. So what I tried to do was try to find a happy medium, because bottom line, someone's going to be upset. The ones who want it removed are going to be upset, and the ones who are getting theirs removed are going to be upset. So what we try to do is put together what we call Operation Night Tow. We want to do 3 phases. First, to educate the violators, be able to have fire and police personnel canvass, be able to pass out information as far as what the violations are, so that we can at least say that we're educating our community. Then we wanted to do, after a 2-week grace period, to do warnings to the violators. And that's that orange sticker that we put on a vehicle. That's nothing but a warning to let people know that you have to move that vehicle. And then we look at the most egregious type violators, and we would look to do citing and towing probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And someone asked why, because I was out there putting a sticker. Well, there's 2 locations, and it was confrontation. And I must admit, we got 2 of the ladies here. I'd like to thank both of you, because both of you stepped up when your husbands were not exactly happy with the service that we were providing, and they were great mediators. So that we did this. But the thing that I really appreciate that they're here about is we're all looking for a happy medium of how we can all talk together and find a solution to this, because it's one of those things where it takes a few who screw it up for everybody else. We have one gentleman, he is using his trailer on a regular basis, but it does set for a couple days. And the reason I was out there, because I had other citizens who were following me around, making sure I was marking the vehicles. So it puts us in a really kind of tight situation. Person she would follow, watch, and if I didn't, it was brought to my attention. And then next thing you know, so either I was arguing with the person who got the warning, or the person who said I wasn't doing our job. So I told them, please speak up here at city council with something that you're not happy with. But we did also find that one section that it gives the chief of police the power to issue a permit for $32 for a 48-hour parking pass for large trailers. So that's my report, and I know the people have some kind of comments, but I wanted to put together some type of operation that we could at least have some kind of dialogue and see where we can go from there.
Just a note that we were gonna really rush through council meeting because of the storm to get people back home. These are items of importance, and there's two items, and I don't want to go to this one yet because I think you've kind of highlighted what there are several people that want to speak on 9, and I'm assuming that maybe that related to the trailer. So if we can hold that video. I also see Steve Simonis here. I don't know if you want to speak on the water or anything, or just here to enjoy the good company. Okay. The first one is Jocelyn Flowers.
Good evening, council. I would like to start first by congratulating Megan. You are a great addition to the council, so congratulations. Thank you. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jocelyn Flowers, and I reside at 313. I'm actually just going to do this because it's much easier. 313 Las Flores. I would like to speak about the proposed Operation Night Tow. I am very clear on why this is being proposed. I am all too familiar with the complaints that come out of the Pasadena community with regards to trailers, cars, noise, etc. And while I understand homeowners' concerns with making sure the area remains nice, I wanted to bring up some points that I find relevant in making this decision to put this in action. I would like to make it very clear that I am not against it, but I would like to bring attention to a couple of concerns that I have that I would like you to consider while making this decision. First, it is my understanding that CC&Rs are not enforceable by the Guadalupe Police Department. Second, we are all aware how understaffed Chief Cash and his team are. And I believe having them drive around the community to put stickers on cars and/or trailers is a waste of time and resources that could be better used elsewhere, especially during this time of being understaffed. I would like to offer a suggestion or propose an idea that I believe will address the concern of the homeowners and also not take away precious resources from the Guadalupe Police Department. My understanding is there are a handful of members in the community, specifically in the Pasadena community, who go around and call out houses who they assume are in violation of the CC&Rs. Since they seem to have ample time on their hands, my suggestion is perhaps they can assist the Department of Public Safety, work alongside of them, and write down those addresses and send it to the Department of Public Safety. The Department of Public Safety will then have 72 hours, and again, these hours can be discussed. This is just a suggestion. The Department of Public Safety would have 72 hours to send a letter in the mail to the homeowners not in accordance with the CC&R. The homeowner then has 48 hours to fix the issue. After that, the vehicle can then be towed. This will alleviate the sticker, which I know upsets many people. And most importantly, it alleviates the time to drive out and place the sticker on the car and then come back out again to see if in fact it has been moved. And also any issues that the police might deal with people being frustrated or following them. It would be more efficient with our limited resources as it will only be one time.
Seconds to wrap it up, please.
Sorry, yes. It will be more efficient with our limited resources. It will only be one time needing to come out and it will still produce the same results. I am hopeful my suggestions will be taken into serious consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next person is Allison.
Good afternoon, City Council and Chief Cash. My name is Allison Brockway. My husband is Ty Brockway. He wanted to be here tonight, but he is homesick. Our family moved here 3.5 years ago. My husband was working construction and he finished his job at the 3-year period. And so when his job ended, he started his own business. As you can imagine, at starting a business, it's pretty stressful, and these last couple of weeks have been even more stressful with getting tow warning put on that was even hard to get off of a brand new trailer. The enclosed trailer is used for business only. It's not recreational. The trailer contains the equipment needed to get work done. This trailer is parked directly in front of our own front door and not in front of any other home, even though our kind neighbors have offered us to allow to park our trailer in front of their homes. Our trailer does not take up any neighbor's parking. The trailer is brand new. We maintain it and it does not collect any cobwebs. The trailer helps make our family's livelihood. It helps put food on our table for our children. There's been many days my husband has returned from work and I'm not home at work to help assist him with parking it in our driveway. So he parks it out directly in front of our front door. I understand that our council and Chief Cash do your very best to follow the statutes, laws, do your best to keep our community safe and follow up on concerns brought forth. I adore many of our neighbors in Pasadena community, so much that I consider a lot of them family that we hang out with. These complaints brought forth on our trailer being parked in front of our home personally has nothing to do with any person. It is not hurting them. It is not affecting their parking. It is not blocking a walkway on the sidewalk or their ability to drive in the road. I'm taking the time away from my children tonight to be able to come and ask you all to get permission to park our trailer in front of our home. Our goal as business owners to one day have a shop, but of course we're not there yet. So tonight I'd like to kindly ask to request a parking exemption to allow our family to continue to park our business trailer in front of our home to continue our business without tow warnings. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Melanie Becker.
Hello, council people and mayor and everyone. I completely endorse your operation and if Chief Cash that's being discussed. I mean, if there's a happy medium with what Jess, I don't think all the neighbors in Pasadena go around turning in other neighbors. I think everyone's just been really disappointed at, particularly in the last 8 months, 9 months, how everything is just looking very crowded. And so it's whatever the chief decides, whatever you all decide to do. But I do really, I mean, I think it's wonderful that there's a Guadalupe code and that it's starting to be enforced because people just don't know the rules. My other suggestion is do put a list of all the Guadalupe ordinances in the in our utility bill. That would really help people understand what's allowed in Guadalupe, because people don't know. For example, is it okay that numerous cars are leaking large amounts of oil, staining perfectly clean neighborhoods? I don't know if there's an ordinance about that. Or can people park their cars right in front of blocked sidewalks? That's happening all over. But lastly, and I don't think the city can do anything about this, I wish the owners in Pasadena, we all signed these declaration covenants and conditions and restrictions before we went into the homes, our homes. And I just wish they would be passed on to renters or people who buy homes. Or I wish the real estate people and people renting, whether it's real estate or whether it's homeowners, pass these on because people are not following them. And it's making the whole area filled with oil and too many cars. And it's just simple stuff. I don't know what the city can do, but just pass it on. You know, my neighbors haven't passed this on. And that's why I ultimately moved to this neighborhood. I love the beach, if we can ever get to it again, God willing. I love this town, but what made me buy a home here was this. And if this is never followed, I don't know. A lot of people might leave. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, Point Shell Dunes has a CCNR, covenant. And it's not enforced because there's no committee.
No HOA.
Yeah, but what do you have over there? Or do you know?
We don't
What's there
have,
has-
they don't.
But CCNR, is there?
Yeah.
Mr. Sorry. Thank you. I should have started. Because there is no homeowners association, and the city is not authorized. But people, I mean, no one's gonna do it, but people who are residents who sign those they have standing to enforce them if they want to take the person to court, but there's no HOA to do that for them as we normally would get.
Yeah. Any more comments on the killers, since we're on that subject? Or anything else regarding 72 hours? If not, we'll really quickly, we'll go ahead, for the sake of. Sure.
I just want to make sure that, I just want to reiterate that this is not, this Operation Nitro is not a passive DARA operation. I think that kind of seemed like that kind of got wrapped in there because it was initiated from that meeting. But I know this is an ongoing issue. Historically, we've had these cycles in this community where enforcement maybe because other priorities are there, they're not happening. So then when the resources are there and they're enforced again, there's this re-education period. And I feel like it's a little cyclical. My hope is that by doing this and then doing ongoing smaller enforcement, it will not become so shocking for people that are unaware and maybe just don't have the information. So that would be my hope, especially because we have a code enforcement officer that could definitely help with those resources so that our chief is not having to go be put in these situations. So that would be my hope. At least that's what I took from the materials that you provided. So.
I think what happens too, and you're correct, it's not a just Pasadena issue, and I think it's because there were some complaints from that area.
Mhm.
But if you go all the way through Guadalupe, you're gonna find many more units that have been there longer than 2 or 3, 4 or 5 weeks. So, okay, thank you for that. Anything else?
Thank you. I know that must have been difficult, but I've lived here my whole life and my family has had several citations because I had a trailer, but I understand these ordinances are important for our safety. Thank you.
Okay. Any further delays? Just, can you go ahead and play that?
Mhm.
And this is 8 minutes long, but we don't need to see that, but I wanted to, because there was something.
The first
What's that?
minute, the first
First
minute's
minute's
pretty
good.
good.
Okay,
It passed really
all
nicely.
right. Go ahead.
So now what we're looking at, I'm gonna describe. what
That's
we're looking at.
the actual dunes,
Access to the
access to
beach.
dunes.
Wow. There's a gate.
You see the gate right there
Zoom call.
and the little,
It's gone.
what would be San Maria River 2, right there.
Yeah.
That's Main Street,
Guadalupe up
that's
here,
Guadalupe Street,
up here. There you
and
go.
that's the gate. The sand company is on the other side of the,
It'll go up to the.
yeah, you'll see it.
Yeah, and the county put their road closed, but we've already done a couple rescues because people thought they could get through.
Oh,
Yeah, well, they
And
can
that's
if they had a hoof trap.
And something to mention too is that we also have residents that live out there. So we have had residents, well, technically they're in outside city limits, but that have had to leave their homes that live out on the ranches. Yeah. So,
Like the river, right there.
You'll see an aerial view.
Oh,
I'm just amazed by the rate at which the water is moving.
Oh, yeah.
It's not still at all.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
ain't like farming over there, I mean.
May wash out the 10 Commandments, I should have watched it.
You can see the mound on the hillside.
Yeah,
You can see it in the
yeah.
video.
it's gonna open.
Don't tell anybody that, Melanie.
See
I
that?
think they already have.
Okay.
You see what? What in
The 10 Commandments, like, I guess where that stuff is at.
Council, I've been working in this valley for, almost 20 years now. And so, I've had a lot of old timers talk to me about this river. And one of the things that some of the old timers bring up is there's a reason why there's a mesa. And there's a reason why there's a similar mesa over on Betteravia. This river used to travel from one side to the other. So if you can think about the fact that
This is homeland. for
this
water.
river has wandered all throughout this valley, and it's why this is so fertile. It's because it's dropped fertile land, fertile soil as it meanders through this valley. And this is just it meandering like it's done for millennia. So it's fascinating to see, but this is over the, years and years and years, what this river does.
Our Native Americans lived here 10 or 15,000 years ago, and their villages were much higher than ours are.
Okay, well, that, Chachi Ramirez, who was working with the city and the Royal Theater, actually, that's his, he loves doing this, and this is from him. And there's a lot more, there's 8 minutes of it, but I just wanted to get, that's a rationale for not having the dunes, open up.
Almost good range.
Okay. Anything else, chief? You're good?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next item, public hearing amendments to adopt 2042 general plan land use diagram. Mr. Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. That concludes my presentation. I know you said you wanted to be short, so I'm gonna try to do that.
Okay.
Couple things just to be aware of, in your staff report packet, you had in a thing called Exhibit 1. And these are the parcels we're talking about that are being corrected from the general plans land use diagram. So there are 11 properties identified, and just a couple examples is first, the Veterans Building and the fire department were mistakenly given designation of high density residential. Those are being corrected to public facility. The city's water tanks on Obispo Street had a designation of general industrial, and all other city properties were changed during the general plan to public facilities. And so this one was missed, and we're cleaning that up. There were a couple others, but I'll stop here now and just say that the staff is recommending adoption of resolution number 2023-15, and I'm available for questions.
With that, I'd like to open up the public hearing at 6:52. Right, 6:52. So it's now open to public comments on what was just presented, and it's presented in our agenda package. Is it, are you coming up to? No, okay. All right. Okay, no public comments, so at 6:53, we'll close it to public. Is there a discussion from the council?
No discussion for me.
Is there a motion then to adopt resolution 2023-15, adopting amendments to 2042 general plan land use diagram exhibit 1? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt 2023-509. Amending the zoning designation.
You say 509? Right,
Yes.
okay.
No, I'm sorry, just as a correction, what we're doing is item number 10 right now. It's resolution number 2023-15, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's not zoning designations, it's land use designation.
Land use and diagram exhibit 1. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Robles. Councilmember Hernandez.
Aye.
Councilmember Lizaldi.
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
Resolution passes. Thank you. Next is property rezones to achieve its consistency with adopted 2042 general plan land use diagram and amendments, another amendment to the zoning ordinance, chapter 18. Mr. Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. This second item is required as a follow-up to the recently adopted 2042 general plan. When all the parcels receiving new land use designations under the GP, it left these parcels with inconsistent zoning designations. And so it's called a consistency rezone. It always happens after an agency does their general plan update. So we had 175 parcels that were involved in this. Those are shown on this table that also is called Exhibit 1 that you have in your packet. And I'll just run through some of this stuff.
the first part of this, provided the assessor parcel number, the general plan, the current zoning, the acreage, the proposed zoning, and then the address. And I should mention that addresses are really kind of squirrely here in town. You can use Google Earth, which I do a lot because I can stay at home and do my site visits, by Google. But when you drop down to the street view, you can see what the address says on each of the parcels or each of the buildings and stuff. But then, the building department has its own map, and sometimes that's different. And then when I go to the assessor's office and use their records, they have sometimes a different number. And then you have some streets or parcels where you have a street that has two frontages, like Guadalupe Street and Pioneer Street or something. So they each have an address, for each street, depending on which one they're gonna develop on. So all I'm trying to say out of all this is that, we know we've got the assessor parcel numbers correct. We know we've got the new zoning designations correct, and that's what we're trying to fix tonight. So if the addresses are off a little bit, apologize, but we've done the best we can to try to get the right ones there. The first part of the ordinance was to amend the zoning designation on these 175 parcels. And just to keep the presentation short, I'm just going to highlight some of the other stuff that happened in there. As an example, when the mixed use was added to the downtown and it basically replaced the general commercial, we needed to expand that for the zoning ordinance itself. The old mixed use only had about 5 or 6 different uses, and we didn't want to lose the uses that we had in general commercial. So we kind of blended them. And so that's one of the first things you'll see in the draft ordinance. A new designation or new designations for the mixed use. We also increased densities in 3 residential categories under the general plan. And so each of the residential designations in the zoning ordinance had to be updated to show what those new densities were, so they would be consistent. So that has changed too. The general plan talked about improving efficiencies in processing. So the CUP section and the design review sections were reorganized and clarified. We also had an important change in the parking chapter. That's chapter 18.60. In order to meet a regional housing needs allotment, which is RENA, the general plan identified the mixed land use designation for adding housing, in particular in the upper floors of the downtown buildings. The council's already directed staff not to consider parking for 3 recent new businesses in the downtown. So in the spirit and knowing in that spirit and knowing the pressure Sacramento is putting on us and local communities to increase housing stock, staff prepared a special finding that is also included in this ordinance that could allow parking to be reduced or waived. And that's an important element in this thing to make everything work. So I'm hoping that you're on board with that. For the sake of time, I'll just stop now and see if there are any other questions that I could talk about anything in there, but I know you want to get this moving.
I wanted to make a quick comment that Larry really dug into the weeds on this, trying to find out the history of a lot of the parcels and some of the owners in terms of what they wanted to do with their property and the significance of making this happen without their input would have been challenging to them. So we appreciate you really doing diligent in working on this. So at 7 o'clock, we'll open it up to public hearing. Is there anyone out there that wishes to speak on this item?
Do it.
Pardon?
Let's do it.
He spoke, okay. At 7:01, we'll close it to public hearings and we'll bring it back to the council for any discussions. Personally, I think this really sets a tone because it's it'll allow us to work, especially in the downtown area where you have mixed use, where there's commercial on the bottom and residential on the top. I think that's going to do a lot for us. Right housing, which is required by the state in terms of RENA, affordable housing. So, and then bringing business into the town. So that's good. That's my comment. So, any other comment, or discussion from council? If not, is there a motion to approve ordinance 2023-509
For the first reading, with it coming back, second reading, on the 28th.
Okay. So we need to adopt that? We adopt the ordinance.
Well, we have to introduce it
Right,
and then adopt it the next one.
right, okay. Let's introduce, so we're introducing ordinance 2023-509. On motion to that effect? You have a motion to that effect?
I'll motion to that effect.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Let's do roll call. Thank you.
Councilmember Rogers,
I,
Councilmember Hernandez.
Aye.
Councilmember Rizaldi.
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, went and go out. Okay, hello, Mr. Peralt.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the next item is fiscal year 2022-23 mid-year adjustments.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as you and the council will recall, during our last meeting, we provided you with a mid-year update on expenditures and revenues. And for all a variety of the city's major funds. At the conclusion of that report, the council gave staff direction to go ahead and implement the recommended changes. This report essentially outlines what those recommended changes were in the attachments to the resolution. The only difference is that in looking at the police department, staff is recommending, rather than reducing their budget, that it be maintained at the prior level, which was $2,905,300. This gives the police department a little bit of a buffer, approximately $26,000 to deal with other issues. Other than that, we had covered the items for the enterprise special revenue adjustments, and you have some ARPA adjustments included in here that basically just redirect monies from projects that are not being pursued at this time to projects where there are certain needs for funding. I just wanted to let you know the auditorium project has been completed. The overall cost for that was $76,379. And this basically in completing this adjustment will alleviate that little bit of an imbalance. So that concludes my staff report, and I'm available for your questions.
A lot of detail. A lot of work that went into it. Any questions from the council? Let's not make it easy.
I know, right? Like, but you know, I feel like this was prepared so well. You can go into such great detail. I think it honors what we had already talked about, so I think that's why probably just a little bit lack of discussion on it.
And Denise helped you put this together.
Yes, that's correct. And within a very few weeks, you'll see me disappear. And Denise will she's well suited to fill my shoes.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions regarding the presentation? Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-19?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-19.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Rizaldi.
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
Aye. Resolution passes. All right. Item 13, Mr. Bodum.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Because of the January 9th storm and flooding events on January 17th, we declared a local emergency by the council And had 60 days until it decides to either terminate or continue. So tonight what we have in front of you is another idea to request another 60 days because we anticipate that there's a possibility of more storms. So we want to keep that active. So the recommendation would be to that the city council adopt resolution 2023-20, continuing the local state of emergency ratified by the city council at its meeting on January 17th.
Any discussion from the council? Is there a motion to adopt the resolution? 2023-20.
I know, go ahead.
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 2023-20.
Is there a second?
I'll
Mayor.
second.
Mayor, your
Yes.
microphone is off.
Went on? Okay, thank you.
You have to hold it. Oh, is it dead?
Battery.
Uh-oh.
I can yell.
Fine.
I can yell. It's a sign to go home.
Fine.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I think I just wanna take a moment just to again reiterate that the weather is changing and it's changing how we do business. I have a feeling it's gonna continue. Most projections, other cities, other counties, state agencies are all echoing the same, and we've been really lucky. We've been kind of on the outskirts of the last couple storms. If we travel 10 miles north, 5 miles north, completely different impact. SLO County came down to Santa Barbara County and had to ask for 12,000 emergency sandbags, another 4,000 the next day. So I just again want to reiterate that we are changing the way we do business as a city and as a community moving forward. So thank you for keeping up on this.
Okay, is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-20?
We already did.
Did we?
Yeah, we're good.
Did we call roll yet?
No, yeah.
Okay, roll call please. Okay.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Lozardi.
Hi.
Mayor Julian.
All right, the resolution passes. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Item 14 is future agenda items.
Okay. I have one.
Go ahead. We'll
Actually, I have two. One is I would like to see us have some sort of social media policy. I know Parks and Rec is doing a great job sort of navigating that and engaging with the community, but it really is needed. Other cities, surrounding cities have it. It basically is just a policy on how we as a city are going to interact online with the public. So I would really like to see that moving forward, especially because we're going to have our website up. Opportunities for engagement are coming. So if that could be in the near future, that would be wonderful. And then, I don't know if this is an agenda item, but developing Al's Union, the parking lot. I know it was in Todd's report mentioning as that is our lot per se, but the fact that we need more parking downtown, if we could explore that as a potential opportunity for us, I would really like to see that in the near future.
Todd has a lot of information on that, but it's moving forward. It's a good idea because we're trapped with parking.
Yeah.
Gilbert, anything that you want to add to?
No, we've had it scheduled, and just recognizing, most of the Thursday helpers that have been, almost close to 3 years with the food distribution. And give them a ceremonial calendar.
April 29th, CEC is hosting Earth Day on Santa Barbara, and so they're hoping to include all of the on that panel. And so then Alan reached out to me, so if there's any interest, I know that is the same day that I think we are doing something at the Royal Student Saturday, but if anybody has questions, feel free to reach out.
Okay.
It'll be a great way to highlight all of the and hopefully get to know.
And by the way, on a council side, if there's, I know that WANA puts out requests for information regarding the council, even before we get our packages.
Yeah, the agenda.
Yeah, the agenda. So at any time there's something that you want to put on there, talk to Todd, and then if it's a pressing issue, we'll get it on the agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, council activity reports. You do the Boys and Girls Club?
Sure. Last week we rededicated the Boys and Girls Club, and it was named Juan Estimelo Center. We had a pretty good turnout. I think,
Great time.
yeah, Megan was there, Airstone High. And a future announcement, next, let's see, tomorrow we start utilizing the Boys and Girls Club in the evening. As we undertake our Bobcat Wrestling program, so we're looking forward to getting that started. So that's gonna be a quick 6-week program, and we're gonna introduce most of these kids here at the junior high level to some collegiate wrestling.
Didn't you have a thing, the financials, was that?
Oh, yeah.
Free community conference that Saturday, so that's on next week, many gonna have free for everyone.
Where?
I think.
Australia. Just an update on the food bank, we do it once a month, on the first Thursday of the month, we saw, March 3rd, we saw about almost 200 individual family members. Also on the Pioneer Street folks that are relocated, five families actually moved to new places. There's 5 families that remained in their homes there, which were renovated. And so there's still needs, not so much in the material things, but the big ticket item is food. So we're working with Food Bank to actually hone in on what they need in the way of food. So in fact, tomorrow we're picking up some stuff that will be directed to them and others that need it. So, but they're doing well. They all relocated. They weren't there last night. In fact, some of them just don't want to be there because of the rain, and I don't blame them. And most of them,
It's traumatic.
oh, of course, and I feel sorry for all of them, but for the kids that have to think about that, then go to school and have to go to school and be productive. So. But they're doing well, nobody's hurt there, most of them are some of the residents that have apartments there now are gonna be moving out and relocating, so. There's still a need, and we're working with the Little House by the Park, which is a family service agency, and with the Los Amigos de Guadalupe to basically go hone in on what do you need, because they don't need carpets, they don't need this, they don't need that, but there's the big ticket item has been food. So we're working on that. So, and we're not gonna release any of our energies because we think they're all okay, because they're not. And the food issues regarding farm workers, especially with the lack of work, the fields are flooded, they can't get out there. So we see that at the food bank, and any farm working community that's under the weather that we have witnessed lately is going to be hurting for food, especially with them losing about 7 or 8 cars. You can't get to work without cars. It's a barrier. So adjournment to closed session. Is there a motion to adjourn to closed session? Ray wants to.
I'll make a motion.